This reading is for Aquarius for the month of September 2021. Okay, Aquarius, I just took a peek at your astrological influences this month, and one thing stands out is that many of you may be suffering from a momentary manifestation of what I would call a charming bastard. Now, what I mean by that is you have two energies that are shining really bright from what I saw, and one is your personal charisma, and the other is a need to break free of responsibility. So you can, really embody both of those energies, but you need to take other people into account if you don't want to sort of be a total jerk, right? So, there's just indicators of a sense of, for some of you, really just wanting to break out of the mundane and the humdrum. And, there are ways to do that more responsibly than others. So, don't be untrue to yourself. Don't be untrue to your nature. But, of course, you don't live in a vacuum. You affect other people. All right, let's see what energies in this month are really going to be supporting you. I love this. So this is the Water King. And what that says is that for many of you, being an emotional adult, and I guess this goes back to the vying energies I was just talking about, requires really honest communication. But for you, Aquarius, because sometimes your nature is really different than other people around you, you've got to start with honest communication with yourself and your worldview and your needs, so that you don't sort of skew off and end up not being honest with other people, or building a life that isn't really what's made for you. It's sort of made by what you think you should be doing, if you see what I mean. So this energy, this very adult, it's like sort of adult emotion energy this month, this is what supports you. It's like radical self-acceptance, radical honesty with others, and, Aquarians are known for having a humanitarian streak, which is a bigger picture thinking about the world, like the environment and people starving in other countries, or, animal welfare. But sometimes, because they're so in their interpersonal relationship, that doesn't come through as much. So this is a really helpful energy to just be a kinder person and with better communication with others that you care about. What could be challenging you in September? Well, this is a fascinating card to have in a challenge position. I think what this means is that to have this card that talks about deep intuition in your challenge position, I think that means for some of you, if you were to get really serious about what's going on deep inside, that might entail having to make some changes. So you might not just want to look at that. Now, this is sort of going hand in glove with this being an adult emotionally, right? It's a sort of saying it's time to sort of step up your game when it comes to, I would have to say words like personal integrity, a self-understanding, coming from an honest place that is not manipulative. Because sometimes, with this energy especially, the darker side of it is to just, maybe not even intentionally, other people keep on having to be on your agenda because of things you're dealing with. So that is something to look at for this month. Make sure that because you are not a single person living alone in a vacuum, that your lifestyle, your needs aren't somehow necessarily making other people sort of have to form things around you. You charming bastard. Now, of course, this is just sort of what was highlighted for the month of September. This isn't like an eternal thing. But let's see what other information I can get for you about this month. Oh, wow. Oh my gosh. Okay. We are starting right here, right now, with an ace and the first card in the entire deck. Even looking at these cards, I mean, look at this picture. It's just like, wow, right? So I think what's happening is many of you are having this groundswell of like passion coming up, whether it's for an idea, just an emotional state after a hard time, for another person. And there's just a desire to start pulling in new energy, new situations going in. And, you know, if we sort of combine that with the two other cards we just read for you, this can be an overwhelming energy sometimes if you really feel like you need change or you're really inspired by a new vision or idea, right? So you got to make sure you're being emotionally responsible to those around you if you are in this space. Ooh. And for some of you, definitely this is going to be around relationship, like a new passion for a relationship. And you know, Venus actually is having a lot of influence on Aquarians in September, so I'm not really surprised by that. It's a rather relationship-focused month. Interesting. So this energy up here is about releasing something, and it's the Death card. Don't freak out. I'm not God. I can't predict death. And anyway, it's not even in a position of past, present, or future. It's just it's a message from your higher self or your guides, whatever you want to call it, that change is imminent and it wants to happen. So if you are moving into a new era where you have to release some things, please call in temperance. I think this whole month is sort of like for many Aquarians, there's a really powerful energy coming up. And the cards are like, and don't throw out the baby with the bathwater, right? With temperance, you really have got to pull in lots of different elements and combine them in like a new form, okay? It's like it's sort of like alchemy. And in fact, some decks, they call temperance alchemy. It's like taking this and this and this and this in your life and recombining them to be something beautiful. If you're combining families, this is a great omen to take two separate families and bring them together as one. Or if you are involved in a relationship where you maybe have different cultural backgrounds, this is a great card for combining them successfully and joyfully. But I cannot ignore that this energy is here, and you won't be able to ignore the feeling that you want change as well. So don't ignore it. But again, we have to go back to our first two cards. You've got to be radically honest about it and responsible in it. As we move forward towards the end of the month, we end up with this very interesting energy. So for those of you who have been wanting to, I don't know, get a promotion, get a raise, possibly start your own business, things like that, this is an excellent energy. And the sense is that you will be successful if you do make a move, because you actually have a reputation that you can stand on. And so I'm going to say, you know, I think we should all go for our dreams, especially because of this energy. But for those of you who have a track record and a reputation in something, it's going to make it a lot easier. And you end up with the Hierophant, which is quite mystical. I'm a little surprised that this is the outcome, but I guess the fact of the matter is everything in life is fundamentally a spiritual situation, regardless of what it looks like. And for many of you, especially if you're embarking into new territory, this is saying, do not reinvent the wheel. Like many people before you have done what you want to do. So look for guidance, look for a mentor, look for an organization to help you. And in terms of love, I just, got to say this should be for most Aquarians, like this is general, but for most Aquarians, regardless of where you're at in your love life, it looks like this could be a really special romantic month. And Of course, the caveat is if you're in a situation where you're not sure what's going on, this is saying changes in the air, you need to have a talk and find out where you stand. And you may end up releasing that, but don't be afraid because there's so much that is new and wants to ground itself in the Aquarian life right now, specifically in relationship. I hope you enjoyed this reading. If you did, please subscribe and give me a thumbs up. And I will check back in with you next month, Aquarius.